Hi guys, today I just want to go over a few tools and features, as it were, a few bits of software that I use and have discovered. I've covered a couple in the past, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about each one today because I just want to give a very brief overview on them, and if you like them you can check them out at your own time, and I might even do a follow-up doing a bit more on each one. So let's crack on, shall we? Now, I'm a big fan of Windows. I think it's a great operating system. I think they've really made leaps and bounds with it since Windows 10. And yes, some of you will go, no, Windows 10 is awful, why the hell are you using it? Go back to using Windows XP. But I think they have done a fantastic job. There are certain things I think they still need to work on, and it's not going to be perfect, but nothing ever really is. There's always going to be people that go, oh, but I want this, and others that go, no, but I don't want that. And they've got to compromise somewhere. But there are some things you can use to help give you a bit of functionality back. So one of the first things I'm going to mention is something you can see at the top of my screen here. Now, those of you who have used a Macintosh will no doubt think, that's just a dock. I've got that. It's nothing special. And to some it won't, but to some it might. It is just a really simple thing that kind of hovers at the top of your screen, and if we say put another window up, I can hover my mouse and the dock appears, and it gives me quick links to certain things. So I can add programs to this, so I can simply drag a shortcut up to the top and it will add it there, or at least it should do. Now mine seems to have decided to freeze for a second there, but there you go. So it's just added Mac 7 at the top. So if I really wanted a really kind of clean desktop, I could get rid of all of these icons. I could drag the ones that I use a lot up to the dock, and there we go. It's got a link to my recycle bin, this PC, or my computer, my documents folder. It's got some settings. I can even kind of change the theme. I can add items, so I can add a file path if I want. I can add a file, I can add a blank icon, all sorts. And you might find it easier. You could use that and hide your taskbar, for example. Now, another thing that I use, and once again Mac users will go, well, we've had that for ages, is a program called Seer. Seer. S-E-E-R. So just make sure it's running. It does have an option to auto start when you start your machine. And what it allows you to do, so if I go to my computer and I browse to some media, so I've got some pictures here and I can view them normally, so I could double click on it and it'll open in whatever photo or image viewer I have selected by default, and that's great and all. But what if I don't want to have to wait for the faff of opening the program, or just want it to be a bit quicker? I can select it and I can press the spacebar and it pops up with a preview. Press space again and it disappears. I can do that for most picture files. I can do it for most audio files, so it will work with WAV files, MP3s. It won't work with some, so AIFs, for example, doesn't work with, and it works with some video files as well. Now, the version of Sia I'm using is the free version. Since they kind of started using it more, or since more people started using it, it has branched off. So they got to, I think it's version 0.8.5, and that is the free version. Anything past that, you'll have to pay for after I think it's a 30-day trial period. I don't think it's a lot, really, but it's just that the people that have come up with this would just like you to contribute. They have put their time and effort into a program, and it is a very well made program. So once again, just really simply, space, pops up the preview, and also I can scroll through the images as well. So use my arrow keys, I can just scroll through them, and it will automatically change what's in the preview window. So yeah, really simple, really cool kind of way of just previewing files on the fly. And as I said, Mac users will be going at this point, oh well, we've had that for years, and great, you have, but Windows users haven't. But there are ways that we can get hold of it. Now, another program I use is one called Pushbullet. It just sits in my tray there, double click it, and it comes up with this window. Now, you may or may not have heard of this before. I like it because it means that I can install Pushbullet on my phone and my PC, and then any notifications or messages that I get on my phone will appear in a little window on my PC. It's got a text feature, so that if someone texts me on my phone, but I can't be bothered to type on my phone because it's faff, or they've sent a bit of an essay and you want to reply, then you can reply using Pushbullet. So you would simply select the text message, type on your keyboard message, press enter, and then it would send that message to your phone, which would then send it through your default messaging app. Now, the one kind of caveat for this is your PC and your phone do have to be on the same Wi-Fi network. For most people, that isn't a problem. But for example, if you've got your PC connected to Wi-Fi but your phone isn't, it won't shunt those notifications to your PC. There are other alternatives and options I've used in the past. One such option is a program or a service called Mighty Text. I used that for a bit, but since they've kind of grown a bit, they have put limitations in place, which I didn't really get on with, and I thought it was a bit kind of, just wasn't cricket, shall we say. But yeah, so that's another tool I use. Go check it out, it's free, no real restrictions on it. I think there are a couple, but it's not like it's crippling you, it's just really easy to use, and yeah, really good tool. One that I have used in the past, and I don't use it often just because they're not really tools I will need that often, is something called ToolWizCare. So just double click ToolWizCare and it'll come up, and I found that it's kind of a one-stop shop for kind of all the little tweaking tools that you might need. So you can do a checkup on your system to kind of see if there's any kind of files in your temp folder that need clearing out, things like that. So you've got a detailed cleanup, so look for registry errors, trash, things like that. You've got disk cleanup, privacy cleanup, you've got disk analysis, and the speed up tab can do a fast defrag. One thing that you might want to use it for is your startup optimizer. One thing that a lot of people don't ever look at is when they install a program, some will say, I want to start up as soon as the machine does. And for some things you will want that. So if you use Dropbox regularly, you will want Dropbox to start up when your machine does. So any and all file changes are mirrored as soon as possible. But some things you might not want. Some people might not want Dropbox to start up automatically. I've got a few things that do. I've started a few, I've made it so some things don't. So QuickTime and Java Updater, they don't start automatically. The less programs that are starting up with your machine, the quicker it will start up and the quicker it will be ready to use. Because there's less for your machine to go, okay, I've got to open this, I've got to open that. Oh, great, there's another 15 things I've got to open before I'm kind of done starting up. Do a startup report. So, as I said, allows you to see the name and loading time of all the components loaded since your system started. So, it kind of tells you the time that it takes to load up. Tells you the name of the executable or the kind of process, and also some comments. So some things will say that's a system component, so you really shouldn't kind of stop that from starting up. Some things it will say, oh, it's better to keep, turning it off might cause some instabilities. Some things it will say, well, that can be stopped, there's no reason for that to be running at startup. And there's System Optimizer. So this will kind of go through various kind of things to try and make sure your system is clean, is running smoothly, so clean junk files, things like that, improve the response speed of command, improve waiting time for responsive applications, so that will reduce the time that it takes for your machine to recognise, oh, this app isn't working, or this program is not working, let's close this, shall we? And the security, so you can scan your plugins, you've got a network manager, a process manager, and a service manager. These are tools that most people won't need to ever look at, but if you want to kind of know a bit more about what's going on with your machine, you might want to. Under tools, it's a bit garish to look at, I think, but it does have some things that you might want to use. So a file shredder, so for example that will delete a file securely, so that will write over the disk section where that data is stored several times. You can find duplicate files, file recovery, what drives are running. You've got a file encryption and decryption section. You've got a password manager, registry backup, things like that. And then you've also got app manager as well. So this will allow you to look at all the programs that are installed and uninstall them. So for example, you might want to know what programs I don't use often. So it says I don't use 7-zip often. I might not open it often, but I do use it to compress a lot of files or to decompress a folder, so you can use it for that. Now, recommended software, this I would say is more of a have a look around thing first, so don't take this as law. So it's got some antivirus recommendations, so Microsoft Security Essentials, Avira, Avast, and audio players. It's got Foobar, Audacity, iTunes, things like that. So you might want to install these, you might not, you might already have them installed. But before installing anything, always just kind of have a look at what it might be and what kind of other people's reviews and comments on it are. One feature it does have that I think is really cool and more people should be doing, myself included, is eye care. So if I click on eyes or eyes care, as we called it. It's not the best of English, really. So enable the eyes care protection, and it'll ask you to kind of select a time that you would like to take a break for, so duration of time, and how often you would like it to say you should take this break. And it'll pop up with a little window in the bottom right just saying you should go and have a little break now, rest your eyes. And if you do stare at a screen all day, something like this could be hugely useful for making sure that you don't start just wearing yourself down. Staring at a screen for 8 hours will drive you insane, and especially if you're kind of within an internal room of an office, so you're not seeing natural sunlight, not getting natural air, it will start to affect you. You'll start to lose focus, you'll just feel groggy, and it's not good for your health either. You only get one pair of eyes and you only live once, so the little things like this can make a huge difference to your physical health and also your mental health. So for example, if I enable this, so let's say it'll tell me to take a 1 minute break every hour. Now if you're running something like PowerPoint, it would be good to tick this little box, so no interruptions while full screen process is running. If you're giving a presentation, you don't want it popping up saying you should take a break now, so that'll just stop it from doing that. Click OK and it's on. Simple as that. So that was ToolWiz Care. So they're just a few tools I use. There is one other that I'm going to briefly mention, and that is Flux or Flux. So let's just drag this over. It's not a huge window. Now we all stare at screens a lot of our time. It's just part of modern life, unfortunately. But one thing you may or may not know is that blue light is really bad for you at night. Blue light stimulates your brain to think, I should be awake now, I should be doing something, when in reality you should be thinking about going to bed. So what this does is it kind of puts an overlay on your screen, or tints your screen with a kind of orange, yellowy kind of tinge, which will help to filter out some of that blue light. And yes, if you've got kind of bright white lights in your room and your screen is using Flux, that will negate the effect of Flux. It's not going to compensate for all the light around you. But if you have Philips Hue lighting, you can actually set it to communicate with them. So I can set it to kind of have a more bluish hue. So looking at that now, it is quite sharp and quite bright. So I have it kind of down to 2700K. You can set your location, and you can also have the transition speed between what it is during the day and what it is at night really fast, which is over 20 seconds, which can be a bit jarring at times if it just happens. Like, oh dear God, what's going on? Or slow, which is what I've got it set as, so it's over 60 minutes, and it's a bit more gradual. But if you were doing any video work, so if you're in, say, Premiere Pro, and you want to be able to see the colours clearly, the menu has a few options. So you've got disable for an hour, or disable until sunrise. Those things can make a huge difference to being able to clearly tell what colour is what. You have got a few options as well. So under the lighting at night, it's got some ones that aren't shown here. So, for example, if I want it to go kind of really almost red, if I click Ember, it will go all the way down gradually, to a more ember colour. Now the kind of more red it is, or more kind of reddy orange, the kind of better it will be at filtering out the blue light that is stimulating your brain. So it's definitely now getting more towards the red end of the colour spectrum, and you might prefer that, you might not. That is completely your choice. So it's going all the way down to 1200, I believe. Yeah, so 1200K, and it has got a very, very thick red tint to it. I can't say I'm a fan of it being that red, so I'm going to go back up to lighting at night, and I'm going to bring it up to 2700, which is incandescent. Now, once again, it will gradually go back up to that, so it's not really jarring, and it's not just, oh dear God, it's changed. So yeah, if you find that at night you can't go to sleep easily, and your screen kind of makes you feel more alert than you should be at that time of night, check out Flux. Loads of people are using it already, and there have been loads of studies on the benefits of it, and you can get things like it for your phone as well. I use something called Twilight on my Android phone, which does the exact same thing. You can change the kind of colour of it, so more red colour. You can change the intensity of it. You can have it so it also alters the backlight, things like that. So yeah, these are a few of the tools I use. You may have heard of them, you may not have heard of any of them. If you think any of them are cool, go check them out. And thank you for checking out my video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, give it a like, subscribe, share, you know, the usual. Thanks guys, have a good day.